Hello friends, acquaintances, and enemies of all ages. My name is Justin, and today we'll be taking a look at the newest game of the Harvest Moon series, known as Harvest Moon: Light of Hope. This was a huge step up for the franchise because not only is this the first Harvest Moon game to ever be released on PC, but also because it was released as a celebration of the 20th year anniversary of the series. Upon looking at screenshots of the game, I was pretty disappointed in how it looked aesthetically, but to my surprise, it had mostly positive reviews, not only recently, but also overall. So I figured, hey, why not give it a chance? With decent reviews, the game is probably pretty good, and even if it wasn't, it couldn't be that bad. Right? Alright, so upon starting the game, there were a few quick things I noticed. First of all, the music sounded wonderful and had the same upbeat charm I've come to know and love from Harvest Moon. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier, the game just isn't good looking. Some of these textures are so incredibly low resolution that it's almost sad. Half of these objects look like they came straight from the RPG Maker default tile set. However, the character models actually look pretty good. I was happy that they were so expressive and vibrant. But that just makes me want to say that if you aren't going to make the environments look on par with the character models, then you should go for a style where you can. Even if it's just pixel art, it makes the games aesthetically flow together more. I can only assume they probably didn't want this game to be too similar to the hugely successful Stardew Valley, which is the first game series to really compete with them in this genre of game. Anyways, moving on. One of the big differences that you'll notice from traditional Harvest Moon games is that instead of the mayor giving you your farm, or inheriting it from someone, or anything like that, the local doctor in training gives it to you. Okay, I understand breaking away from the norm, but can someone please explain to me why it's okay for a random person who lives in town to just give away the farm? Surely that was someone else's property, right? I'll try to overlook this little point, but it was definitely something I wanted to mention. Another thing Light of Hope does to break away from the norm is they give you a tutorial. This is something I actually really appreciate. As silly as it sounds, games from the farming genre can be overwhelming in the beginning. So this shows that they're trying to help newer players as well, instead of just saying, there are books in your room if you want to learn how to play, like the series usually did. Speaking of learning, this game also has numerous control schemes. It has the traditional gamepad controls, mouse and keyboard controls, and what I would call touchscreen controls. By that I mean you can drag in a direction to move and tap to interact with stuff. This would only really come in handy if you had a touchscreen PC. Now for simplicity's sake, amongst the control schemes, the game uses a single touch system where based on where you click, it will determine what you want to do. So if I click a weed, my character will pull it. If I click soil, he'll till it, and so on. But if I misclick, I end up with random spots of tilled soil that bothers me to no end for some reason. Now this is actually pretty common amongst the Harvest Moon games, although Stardew Valley let you untill the soil, for future reference of course. Overall, this one-touch system is convenient, but at the same time it takes out some of the charm honestly. I would probably have this as a setting that you could toggle off and on, but that's just because I found myself abusing it too often. While using the mouse and keyboard, if something was really far away, I would just click it and watch my character run over and do all the work. I know a lot of this sounds like nitpicking, but that's because I really care about this series, and I want it to improve in the future. So, after the tutorial, my second day starts. I decided I would start trying to pull all of the weeds, as that's what I typically do in these types of games, because I want my farm to be amazing. And it's at this point that I realize time is not moving forward, and I don't seem to have any type of stamina. Well then. Well, it's the second day, and I've pulled every single weed I had access to. And would you look at that? It's still 6 AM! I suppose I'll head into town and continue my tasks, I guess. Considering the size of this game and how basic the textures are, there sure are a lot of loading screens. Let's see, I put the tablet into this spot, the lighthouse shines, and loading screen. You see these loading screens so often, but they look so boring. I assume the black is supposed to help make it feel more like a fade in, fade out, as opposed to an actual loading screen, but really it just feels bland. Even just a Harvest Moon logo in the corner could have helped a bit. Come to think of it, boom, I made you guys a new loading screen. That'll be $10. Okay, so first we go over and speak to Sally, who shouts stranger danger when you first meet her, but totally becomes your friend once you give her a bamboo shoot. How much lower can you get? My character is one step away from offering kids candy out of a white van. Also, how are you going to make my character feel so overpowered with infinite inventory, no stamina bar, and time moving so slowly, and yet he has to walk slower when he's holding something? Did I mention that I love the expressions the characters make? They really are something that I think the game did right, and they convey emotions pretty well. Alright, now Sally wants me to prove that I'm not lying about being a farmer by bringing crops to her from my farm. Okay, fair enough. Well, now, instead of meeting her outside her house like every other time, this time I guess it's fine to just walk in all willy-nilly. You can't keep setting these standards and then not keeping them, game. Whoa, all of a sudden time is flying. So was all of this just for the tutorial? Well, regardless, now that time goes by quicker and I appear to have a stamina meter, that's 2 of my initial complaints fixed. You do still have infinite inventory, which once again is convenient in a lot of ways, but I prefer it in other games where you actually have to earn it somehow. Moving on, I was going to mention that since you can zoom in and out using this slider bar, there was a missed opportunity to use the mouse scroll wheel. It was shortly after this that I realized it does work that way. But guess what? You can't use any actions while moving. Want to open your inventory? Too bad. Want to zoom in or out? Not happening. You have to stop, do the action, then continue. That's ridiculous. It seems like something that wouldn't be a big deal, right? Well, so far this game is having a bunch of small things that individually seem like no big deal, but start to add up and make the whole game feel clunky. Well, since these controls aren't panning out, I decided now would be a good time to try and use a controller instead. And honestly, it did help quite a bit. It feels much more traditional. And yet, when you hold the right stick down, you can walk around like this? I assume it's trying to toggle walking on and off constantly or something. At least that's all I can guess based on what's happening. It is pretty funny though. After doing some farm work with the controller, it started to feel awkward again. I realized that in the other games, you can stay on a grid to help with watering, planting, and so on. Then it hit me. That's what the moonwalk is for. Okay, I'll just use that, it'll make farming feel smoother, right? Well, you see, to do the grid walk, you have to hold down the right stick. And to interact with anything, you have to press A. But since you can't do them at the same time, it feels even more awkward. Let's see if this can be forgiven. I'll just rebind it in the settings. Oh, you can't rebind it. You can rebind almost everything else in the entire game, but not that. Why in the hell did they put the action on one of the thumbsticks? In almost every other Harvest Moon game, it's on one of the bumpers. Nope, not in this one. Those buttons go mostly unused in this game, only being used when you need to switch which seeds or fertilizer you want to use, which also feels awkward. Why can't I just use the D-pad or joysticks here? This is nonsense. Okay, let's move past this. I know this game will get better at some point, right? It has to. It has mostly positive reviews. There's no way it gets worse. Oh, and by the way, if you thought that perhaps using a controller fixed some of the issues like not allowing you to open your inventory while moving, I'm afraid not. Okay, moving on again. Let's just go water some plants. Oh, whoops, I pressed the button a couple too many times. Wait, what's this? What's going on? Oh my god, is this a joke? You're telling me, in a game made in 2017 by a professional, big-name company that's been making these games for 20 years, I can buffer the message that says my watering can is empty? Look at this! This is absolutely ridiculous! I'm gonna speed it up just to show you how long it can go on. This kind of stuff is unacceptable. How are they missing so many small issues all at once? Let me just pull this weed and... okay, he's cutting the tree down. I can't interrupt him as far as I can tell. All I wanted was to pull the weed. Why am I unable to cancel something like that? But I'm able to cancel a charged up hoe use apparently. Alright, let's have a change of pace. Something positive about this game. In Light of Hope, you can actually save anywhere in the game without having to go back to your house to do it. This means that if something comes up and I need to leave, I can save and quit without having to start fresh from a new day. I actually really like this idea and hope that the Harvest Moon series continues using this concept in the future. Maybe more than 3 slots though. Okay, back on track of things that bother me about this game. As you progress, you're able to fix up houses and shops so that people will move back into your town, thus unlocking them and their services for you. This is fine, and reminds me quite a bit of a similar system used in My Sims on the Wii, a game I actually enjoyed a decent amount despite its issues. So I fixed the local merchant's shop, which he is absolutely thrilled about, so now I can purchase things from him by going into his shop, right? Wrong. He sits on your farm most of the time, which, once again, and you may be noticing a pattern here, is somewhat convenient but doesn't make any sense. Why did rebuilding his shop even matter? If it was his house, I would honestly understand more, because then he could live here again. He does say he's a traveling merchant who now lives in another town, but he also says that he can't get back into business on the island till his shop is fixed. So is he a traveling merchant, or is he someone who needs a shop located in a designated area? Bothers me so much, I really shouldn't get upset, but I am, I'm sorry. Also, couldn't there be more of an animation for fixing up the local buildings? Your character does a single swing with his axe, and boom, they're fixed. I'm not looking for anything fancy, just something, you know? Now, once again, to make it clear, I actually really enjoy most of the characters from this game. They have the same charming personalities that I think make the Harvest Moon series special. There are even a few cameos in Light of Hope from other Harvest Moon games, but unfortunately, this is the only redeeming factor of the game for me. The most fun I had up to the point I played, not counting the interactions with the charming characters, was messing around in the mine, which in and of itself is incredibly boring. There are 5 crystals that contain some kind of material, then you hoe around till you find a path to the next floor and repeat. No variety, no traps, no fun. I'm not expecting combat, I'm not expecting anything super innovative, I'm just expecting something fun. Something that doesn't take away from the features of the past games, but instead improves upon them. The only reason I found the mining bearable was because of how incredibly busted it seems in terms of making money. Starting at level 6 in the mine, if you keep going to it every day, you'll continuously find a variety of gems that can be smelted for $1,000 profit and more. I spent a pretty small amount of time on it and quickly racked up 100k. Step 1, mine. Oh come on game, this is my first time exiting the mine. Step 2, smelt. How come when I'm going to smelt down my ore, you give me the option to try and make more than what I have the materials for? Why even bother? You can go all the way up to 99 too, which seems to be the maximum for most things, so why even have the 3rd slot here? Step 3, the music is like a 15-second loop. Step 4, profit. I'm done. I'm literally done playing this game. This video was originally supposed to be a quick glance into the game to see if it was any good, but as you can tell, it quickly became a rant about all of its issues. Now, I know you may be thinking, you're not giving it enough of a chance, just play it for a little longer and eventually the game will get better. To me, that's like saying, just keep smashing your head into this tree. Eventually you'll get some of its fruit. Even if the game does get a little bit better, the work of smashing my head into Light of Hope at this point could never be worth the reward it offers. I apologize that I won't be finishing it. It's not even ironically bad. It's not like, haha, this game's so bad I take pride in the fact that I beat it. I honestly wish it was that bad. That's kind of where the problem comes in, honestly. This game had so much potential to be good, but it's unpolished, poorly designed, and an insult to the Harvest Moon franchise. Now I should mention, when I was first playing the game, I was a little bit misinformed. I was under the impression that this was a mobile game that was dual released on the PC. So by the end of my time playing it, I was going to say, this game would probably be fine for mobile. I could totally overlook its shortcomings since it's just a game made to play on my phone. However, I'm now aware that this game was made standalone for the PC, and as a 20th year anniversary celebration of the Harvest Moon series no less. And it's $30 on Steam. That's insane. Light of Hope is simply weighed down by a million smaller problems that make it seem like the developers were rookies and had little to no quality assurance when playing the game. It's like they had playtesters that had never played a Harvest Moon game before, so they didn't have a standard of how good these games could actually be. I hope no one is too disappointed that I'm stopping here, but as a huge fan of the Harvest Moon franchise, maybe this could be of use to someone who was on the edge about playing it. Just don't. Go play Friends of Mineral Town, Magical Melody, A Wonderful Life, or really any other game from the series, and you'll get a better and more pure experience of this wonderful series. I hope you all enjoyed the video. It ended up being a bit longer than I expected, so sorry about that. Sometimes you just get on a rant, you know? A new Year of Kirby video will be coming out next week, but for now, have a wonderful rest of your day.